Hello, my name is Susan, and I'm from the Heartland Science and Technology Group. I'm here to introduce to you the Port Disruption Tool, which is a prototype application that has been created for the purpose of submitting data to a tool called the Discrete Event Simulator to assess potential impacts of disruptions in the movement of goods through our ports. This project has been created by Heartland Science and Technology Group in conjunction with the Critical Infrastructure Resilience Institute and the Department of Homeland Security. In this tool, our first default page is our projects page, and you can organize your data into multiple projects. For the purpose of this video, I have two different projects created. We are going to open up and look at the data that I have in the project called sample data. You can import projects. This is a project that I have imported from existing data. As we go into and look at sample data, we have one network file. This particular project has 4 schedules and 2 shipments. I'm going to show you what a network file looks like. In this case, we're looking at the data that gets saved to the file. We have a multitude of destinations. Each destination has an ID, which is its name, a capacity, cost, cargo categories, so the categories of cargoes that can move through this destination, transportation methods, so the how they are moved, holding time, extended period of time, extended time rate. We must have the location, which is the latitude and longitude, the service time, the container count, and the storage. Again, this is sample data that has been created. It may not reflect data that you would expect to see in a real-world situation. Along with the names, I don't know of a place called Alberta. I know Alberta beaches. Routes are, of course, moving from one destination to another. They have an ID, which we can auto-generate for you if you do not submit it. It must have a name, a source, so where it's starting, target, where it's going to, the type. By default, we expect things to have a primary type. Cargo categories, again, what categories of cargo can move through across this route. Transportation methods, what type of route is this? This particular one I've selected is a sea route. The capacity, cost, container count, travel time, extended time period, extended time rate, and again the location, latitude, and longitude. In the case of a route, we would expect the latitude and longitude to be the center point of the line between the 2 locations. Whoops. Next is our shipment file. One shipment file can contain multiple containers. There is no concept of a vessel within the discrete event simulator. So we're focused on just containers, identifying the name of the container, what type of cargo is in the container, a single container can have multiple types of cargo, what commodity groups, you can edit these, transportation methods. So rice in this sample data file can move via the roadway, via sea, can go through transloading. We can add rail if we wanted to. Each container has its own unique identification number or code. We create one for you in the tool. You can add a delay cost as well as an origin. Source, where is this container starting out and where is it going to? What is its destination? And if you have one base container and you're doing manual entry, and a lot of them will be like the same commodity group, same transportation method, same delay cost, you can duplicate a container that you have found and add to it. And this shipment has clothing and rice in it. You can also have multiple shipment files using the new shipment button. It will ask you the name for your shipment, and then it'll give you one empty container, and you can start filling in the details for that container, and you can duplicate as many times as you would like. So those are your shipment files or your shipment data. Next is a schedule. When we build a schedule, we select which network we'd like to use, the start time for the schedule. We need to know the working day hours, so when it starts. This example is 600 in the morning. This example is 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And we can add our shipments. And we have 2 places to add a shipment. So when we add a shipment, we can specify the entry time of when the shipment enters the simulation. Entry time is in minutes into the simulation, and you can select the shipment file. So you can have as many shipment files in a schedule as you'd like. And in this case, I happen to have multiple schedules. The main difference between these schedules is the number of shipments and when they enter the network. Once I finish entering all the data for a project, I'm going to come back, click on the name of the project at the bottom, and I'm going to close this project. And I'm going to go to our simulations page. This is the page that lists all the simulation runs that a single user has run. So I'm currently using authentication information for myself that I've used for testing and development. So these are some of the simulation runs that I have done in testing things. You can see that I've had quite a few complete. I've had a few fail. So you will get the status of if something completed or if it failed. If it failed, you'll see that there's no data. On the completed runs, we have simulation times. These are in minutes. Currently, I believe we do have an update coming that will change this to days and minutes. We also have total cost, which is in dollars. We do have an update coming for this as well. And then we have a report, and you can download that report. 23R Schedule 4R is my report, and I'm going to open that for us real quick. And this is just a first draft of a report. We have many changes slated for future work, but it gives you the name of the job. Job status will be removed because it will always be submitted or completed. You'll have a description, type of data requested if you were doing a baseline only run versus comparing it with a disruption. We'll have some maps. And just like the information that's in the chart behind us, we've got the times and the costs. We have our simulation specifications, how many networks, nodes, shipments, containers. If for some reason your data is missing a route that is needed by a container to move completely through the network, your container may not be delivered. If you don't have the starting node for your container to move to, it may not even enter the network. So we have the stats available for this. We've got a reminder of what your execution options were. And there are some graphs here. In this particular data, we did not have any significant variations or disruptions added, so the graphs are not very helpful at this point for this particular run, but we will be adding more charts and data in the future. You can also download the input file. So the input file, we'll just look at these since I've already downloaded them. Our input file contains our raw JSON data. So we have the raw data for the network, the schedule, and the shipments that we submitted to the discrete event simulator. We also have a project folder which contains the versions of the data that is used by the UI tool. And in addition, you can download the output file. The output file is the file that has been generated by the discrete event simulator. So that is your raw output data. It is in the form of an SQLite file. And you can open an SQLite file with tools such as DB Browser for SQLite. And it is in database format. So you can view and see the simulation times, the container names, commodity types, our category type, extended cost. So there's all sorts of data in here in the container and our snapshots, movement through things in the output if you like to look at the raw data. So those are the files that are available. Next, I'd like to show you how to submit a job. So when we are submitting jobs, this is project independent, which is why I closed out a project, but you'll notice that my 2 projects are listed. I'm going to select sample data. So by doing this, it has reopened the project, and I'm going to select schedule 4. I'm going to call this demo simulation run. Walk through setting up a simulation. I'm picking 24 days. I'm going to do a snapshot. Oh, let's go every 6 hours. We have a choice of priority type for the discrete event simulation as to if it's running first in, first out, last in, first out. Currently disabled is the ONF, which is an optimizer that has been developed by the Critical Infrastructure Resilience Institute. We still have a few things to check to make sure that is working properly, so for the time being, it is disabled. We have some additional options to send in to the DES, whether or not it's running in deterministic mode, if it's rerouting items, if we want a baseline only run of, hey, bare bones baseline, this is how things will move. If we want a comparison, we may want to include the baseline. And I am running this with a comparison. If we would like to add disruptions, we can do this. It will remember disruptions that you used last time you ran things. So in this particular scenario, I have 2 variations. I have variation A, which edits information on birth 20, 21, and 22. And we cannot change the location, obviously, but we can change everything else. I'm sorry, I do not remember what I changed. So birth 20, I lowered the capacity to 0. Birth 21, I did the same thing. I just closed off the capacity here. And then I had 0 routes impacted on this particular variation, and this one starts 1,000 minutes into the simulation. I also have variation B, which I can select. Here I edited Gantry Crane 1 offload, which goes from berth 20 to loading dock 1. And in this case, I also shut its capacity down. If I decide I want to reset it to the default, I can reset the default. Once you've added your variations, you can submit a new simulation. If you decide you don't want any variations, you can remove them. You can also duplicate them and set the time. You can rename them. By not putting in an end time, I'm telling it to run throughout the rest of the simulation. But I'm going to put in an end time. Maybe that one happens for 200 minutes and this one happens all the way until the end. And I can submit a simulation. And you can see that this simulation run has been submitted. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It is, like I said, a quick introduction to a prototype for submitting data to the discrete event simulation. Thank you.